My name is Michelle Leonard, and I went undercover to catch the Clifton rapist.
This is a man in this clothing that we're looking for, but this is the photo fit picture of the actual attacker.
On the latest rape, he dragged one woman for nearly 100 yards.
Well, we think he's obviously a young man, between 25 and 30. I expect he's single. We suspect he may live alone. We're trying to build up a picture from what he says and how he behaves. He's a selfish man. He's a pig of a man.
Originally I'm from Nottingham, and when I was about 6, I went to Goose Fair, which is a massive fair in Nottingham, and I got lost. And I got found by a policeman, and I can remember walking around holding this policeman's hand, and that has always stuck in my head. So it was always there that I would like to join the police force. I did 34 years combined service in the end.
There's a lot that women can do to help themselves, as well as taking the precautions that they've already outlined. They can get copies of this book free of charge from the Police Crime Prevention Department.
And the attacks started in 77 they started, but they were irregular. There was no pattern. There was no particular woman he liked. The only thing they had was the area. It was always in the Clifton area. With the university there, obviously a lot of more women going to university, there was a lot of demonstrations, leaflets given to the university to give out to women, not to walk around on their own.
Well, you really must be careful if you're walking around Clifton at night. Here's the warnings from the Information Office.
I think if we do use all the avenues that we possibly can, student newspapers, the tannoy system down here, hall meetings where union councillors will go, to really impress on girls that they shouldn't walk around Clifton by themselves.
I think some of them felt that they had to go around in twos all the time. They didn't want to do that. They wanted to have the freedom to go about what they were doing without fear of attack. And there was a lot of ill feeling at the time. And we looked like we weren't doing anything.
The response of the police has been partly to say we shouldn't, women shouldn't go out at night if there's no street lighting.
But that's common sense, surely.
Yes, but we want street lighting. We don't see why we should have to pay for rape all the time.
The authorities have been coming down on the side of the rapist and have been giving what we call go-ahead sentences. And also the judges have been making comments which tell men that it's all right to rape.
We're asking for the freedom to walk the streets after dark without the fear of attack or molestation.
The march passed through the bedsitter area of Bristol, where there have been numerous sex attacks over the past few months, especially the Clifton area, where up until recently there was intense police activity in the hunt for the so-called Clifton rapist.
The bosses felt that something had to be done, and then they did set up this operation, which was way ahead of its time, really. Operation Argus. It was started in January 79. Argus is the Greek god of many eyes.
The police obviously are sparing no efforts to try to catch the man or men responsible for at least 8 sex attacks in Clifton since spring of last year.
They had the 2 undercover officers, the male officers, over on the Redland side. There was our team, and with all the police officers hidden in the bushes, it was all eyes and ears. They were obviously looking up any known predators who were in the system. People were doing things, actively trying to find this man. So we were out there, but we were trying to do it without anybody knowing. They just said it was a decoy work, walking up and down the road, police officers positioned, and you would just walk this route, get picked up at the other end, taken back to the station. At any time you felt you were in danger, you could call it off. It was the final run of the night. So I got dropped off at the bottom of St Paul's Road by the Sergeant Kelvin Hattersley. I then walk into White Ladies Road. As I've walked into White Ladies Road, he clocks this yellow Capri, which is in our system, having been around a rape. He realises that it is identical to the photo fit. That photo fit was him, identical. So I then walk into White Ladies Road. I'm walking at a normal pace as if I'm on my way home. Nothing spectacular about me. I've got a duffel coat on and a scarf and jeans. I look like a student who's just walking home. This Capri does a U-turn and follows me up the road. I'm not aware of this at the moment because there's nothing happening on the radio. I'm walking up the road thinking, oh well, last run of the night, here we go. I just got up to Chantry Road when I heard on the radio that the Capri had pulled up to the Good Food and the driver was watching Michelle. So I'd got into the dark part of Clifton, and I'm just about to cross over to cross into Chertsey Avenue when it said, the man's got out of the car, he's following Michelle on foot, and then there was a sort of delay, and then it came back, attention everybody, this man is on life licence for murder and got previous convictions for rape. And I had a moment where I thought, should I give it up or should I continue? And I thought, no, I've got to get under a street light. I'll concentrate. I'll just get under a street light. Then whoever's hidden can see me. So I kept on walking, and then I could hear his footsteps. And I was fine while I could hear his footsteps. As soon as I got to the street light, I couldn't hear him anymore, so I assumed he'd gone. But as I turned round, there he was on my shoulder, so he's obviously tiptoed up to me. And as I looked over my shoulder, I looked at him, and he was staring straight, I can see his face now, staring straight past me. Straight away, that's him. That is the photo fit. And I turned back round and stood there. And then he grabbed me round the throat, round the arm, said, don't scream or I'll kill you, and began to drag me back into the garden. With that was enough for everybody to come out the bushes. People in the cars all turned up. He realised he'd been caught, I suppose. He hit me, pushed me down to the ground, and started running off towards St John's Road. I get up, scream my head off, and everybody's there. And luckily, at the end of the road was Andy Kerr's Lake, and he was arrested. This is another thing of its time in the 70s. Rape was only penetration. At that time, it was indecent assault. And indecent assault on a female was 2 years maximum. Indecent assault on a male was 10 years. So it shows you the difference between what they thought, or what the law thought of women and men. So he could only be convicted for indecent assault. The ordeal could have lasted up to 2 hours. You know, what he did was awful. When he attacked the women, he felt he was giving them the choice. It was either oral sex or full penetration. He didn't feel he was doing anything wrong. One of the liaison officers met him and found him quite disturbing.
So now you've got the Queen's Commendation. How do you feel about that?
Very surprised, because I didn't know anything about it until yesterday.
Well, I felt quite proud that I'd been involved in such a job where somebody so evil had been taken off the streets. And how disappointed I was that he's actually been released and committed offences again. And should he be allowed out again? I think not. He's a menace to women, even now at his age. His latest victims were members of a vulnerable community group, and he was recommended to work as a volunteer. I would just say he's a very clever, manipulative man.
And if you could say one thing to Ron Evans right now, what would it be?
I just hope you don't come out. You shouldn't be allowed out.